What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to ask ourselves a little bit of a question. And the question we need to ask ourselves is, how good is a 5-star Starscream? Now, to take a little bit of a step back, we know we are getting a new starter set in May. We know that in that new starter set, we are getting a Starscream, and we know that it is a 5-star Starscream, which is extremely cheap as far as Starscreams go. Now, personally, and I've made no secret of this whatsoever, I wanted a 5-star Megatron so that I could play Megatron Arrogant Ruler from Wave 2, along with Megatron Decepticon Leader from Wave 1, and the new Megatron, and then I could go and make myself a treble Megatron deck. We don't have a treble Megatron deck, ladies and gentlemen, because Megatron Cybertronium Tyrant came in at a 7 cost, and I am a sad Wossy. But it's alright, we got a 5-star Starscream. The question is, can it be as good? And I suppose we first need to take a step back and ask ourselves, why are we so worried about having 3 Starscream in a deck? Which is really where we're going with here. Well, I mean, first of all, we've got Null Ray of Starscream. Gives you Bold 2 and +1 attack on an orange icon. To be fair, Bold 2 on an upgrade isn't particularly impressive, especially on a weapon. We've got Flamethrower, which is a weapon that gives you Bold 2 and has an orange icon. But you see, this also gives you +1 attack, whereas Flamethrower doesn't. But it is just a slightly buffed version of Flamethrower. It's not exactly the be-all and end-all here, ladies and gentlemen. It could be better. But the other thing to remember here is that Starscream is a plane. So we can be having a free, wide planes deck. And that can work very, very nicely indeed. The thing is, we've actually got a few Starscreams at the moment, and they don't quite work together beautifully. You see, in Wave 1, we had Starscream Scheming Second in Command, the common one, that was ranged. We had Starscream Air Commander, the uncommon one, that was ranged. But then, when we head over into Wave 2, we get the secret rare, the leader, the Decepticon King, which is a ranged character, and now new Starscream is a melee character. Well, okay. Melee characters are great, incidentally. I love body armor that gives you tough free, and I love power sword that gives you bold free. But if the whole point of this is to make a big Starscream deck, this isn't working. Because the other Starscreams are all ranged and this is a melee character. Then, of course, we add in the costs, and Air Commander is an 11 cost. And Scheming Second in Command is a 10 cost. And Decepticon King is a 13 cost. So we can't have a treble Starscream deck anyway. We can get pretty close. Scheming Second in Command, oh, 10 cost. And then Decepticon Lieutenant, the one we're talking about, the 5 cost, is, shockingly enough, a 5 cost. But then the next cheapest one is Air Commander, an 11 cost, puts you up to 26. We can't do it. So straight off the bat here, we're looking at a Starscream, which is a melee character, which is great, except the others are ranged, so you can play the melee things for Starscream, but you can't really play melee upgrades just for one character in your deck. That doesn't really work. That's not an efficient use of your resources. And we can't make a treble Starscream deck. So, yeah. Here is one thing I will say. Starscream Decepticon King is a 13 cost. So if you play one of the other Starscreams, that's essentially it. Absolute best case scenario, you are rocking 23 stars with Scheming Second in Command, and you can have a couple of star cards, but that really is it. Whereas, you can play Decepticon Lieutenant with Decepticon King, and then you're sitting there at 18 stars, and you still got 7 stars to spend on another bot. So this does allow you to have 2 Starscream and a third character. You got 7 stars to play with, But you've still got one ranged, one melee. And on the one hand, yes, that does give you options, and options are good. And on the other hand, it means that you run the risk of drawing melee upgrades when you want something for Decepticon King, and ranged upgrades when you want something for Decepticon Lieutenant. And that's not terribly great. So we like that it can allow you to have a double Starscream deck with another character, but that is really about the best thing it's got going for it at the moment. But the other thing we can do is compare it to a bunch of 5-star planes. And if you want 5-star planes, might I introduce you to the Aerialbots? Although when I say the Aerialbots, I mean not Alpha Bravo. I love Alpha Bravo, but unfortunately, yeah, it's a helicopter. It's not a plane. Now, before we get into them too much, we should mention that there is one skill on Starscream Decepticon Lieutenant. In bot mode, you get Tough 1. That's it. That's all you get. You don't get any other skills. Move on with your lives, ladies and gentlemen. Move on with your lives. So, do we have any better planes? Well, if we have a look at Air Raid, the stats here are, well, in line with Starscream, kind of. I mean, it has one more health, which is nice, but it's got the same attack and the same defense in bot mode, but it has lower defense in alt mode. So I suppose overall we'd give Air Raid slightly better stats. And when you damage, you get to scrap an upgrade, which can be incredibly useful. We could have a look at Fireflight here, which has better defense, worse attack, and the same health. So, probably slightly better stats? I mean, it really does depend. If you want attacking Starscream, if you want defending Fireflight. And then, when this has 4 or more damage counters on, you get an attack boost. But it's still below Starscream. And it does have Brave, meaning enemies have to attack it, which can protect your other characters, if that's what you're into. We've got Silverbolt here, who, I mean, these are all 5 costs, so we've got the same health, lower attack, and 1 higher defense in bot mode. So overall, Starscream has got better stats than Silverbolt. But Silverbolt, when you flip into bot mode, you do 1 damage to an enemy, and in alt mode you get bold 1, and if you flip a white, an orange, and a blue while attacking, you flip into bot mode. So clearly here the plan is that you attack in alt mode, flip into bot mode while attacking, use your flip to go back into alt mode and rinse and repeat. I mean, you're only a 5-star character, you aren't going to last that long, but you know, could be fun for a little while. And then we could have a little bit of a look at Skydive, which has higher health, higher defense, and overall the same kind of attack, with Tough 2 in alt mode, and in bot mode, when you attack, you repair 1 damage from one of your Aerialbots. Well, in an Aerialbot deck, that's nice, but outside of an Aerialbot deck, if you're just looking for a 5-star plane, Skydive's not going to do you all that much good, at least in bot mode in terms of the attack. But we like the stats here. So is there anything that really sets Starscream apart? The stats aren't phenomenal. The skills, the abilities aren't phenomenal. It doesn't really do much in terms of adding in a Starscream deck. It's a melee character, it's not quite cheap enough, etc. What's it good for? I mean, on the one hand, it is a 5-star Decepticon plane, because all the Aerialbots are Autobots. And there's plenty of stuff in Wave 2 that would make you want to play Decepticons. Something like Scoundrel's Blaster, something like Swindled. Maybe you want to play Decepticon stuff. Certainly there's a new Shockwave coming out, and the new Shockwave really likes Decepticon cards, so there is absolutely an argument here that we might want to play Shockwave, and if we want to play Shockwave and we want a 5-star plane, we'd go Starscream. Not entirely sure why you would want all of that, but let's just go hypothetically for a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Then maybe we would want a Decepticon, and we would specifically go towards having a Decepticon here. But generally speaking, I'd rather have Acid Storm. Now, I am aware that Acid Storm is a 6 cost. It is not a 5 cost. But outside of that, I mean, Acid Storm's got the phenomenal ability in bot mode, whereby your enemies can't use bold. And in alt mode, for each card in your opponent's scrap pile that has at least 2 orange, you repair 1 damage from it. And it's got a health of 10. Although admittedly defensive 0 and slightly lower attack than Starscream here. But I like this a lot more. I'd much rather have Acid Storm. So is the 5-star Starscream any good? There is one reason you would play the 5-star Starscream. 2 reasons. Reason the first, as I mentioned earlier, if you really want a 2 Starscream deck with another character, this is the only one that allows you to do so. The other reason is, it is the cheapest Decepticon plane. Now, I've shown you some Autobot planes that are 5 stars, which are probably better, but if you really want a 5-star Decepticon plane, this is your only option. Is that good enough to make it good? Probably not. But, you know I'm going to be picking up the starter set because I don't like the idea that one of the exclusive characters could end up being really good and then I don't have a copy of it. That would make me really sad, ladies and gentlemen. Overall, yeah. There are uses, but I'm not sure I love it. But if you love it or you can find more uses for it, please, ladies and gentlemen, do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk about Transformers and other games. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.